So I'm going to talk about Greater Manchester's clean air zone. So for people who don't know what it is, it's basically Greater Manchester's version of the ULEZ, except in Greater Manchester, it's being targeted at commercial vehicles only to begin with.
Okay, so what the category of commercial vehicles? What would that include?
So we're looking at £10 a day for a van, £7.50 a day for a taxi, and up to £60 a day for a lorry.
So this sounds like a charge on working men, then.
It's a charge on businesses.
Yeah.
And who's going to pay for that? We'll pay for it because they're going to have to put their prices up. Now, a bit more complicated than that. So at the moment, we've got clean air zones in many places across the country: Birmingham, Bristol, Sheffield. The one in
Bath, I just went to over the weekend and was this close, this far away from the sign where it said it starts now. So I had to turn around because I had no chance I'm paying for a ULEZ zone.
Yep. Well, Birmingham, it's a city centre of Birmingham. So a very small place, which is congested. Most city centres are. I don't agree with that, but I can understand it. In Greater Manchester, we went, oh no, we're going to cover all 10 councils, the whole of Greater Manchester. And part of that is countryside, fields and sheep and cows.
Well, it's not even just the city. It's the
whole of the region, the whole Greater Manchester.
Well, I spend quite a bit of time in Manchester, and if you drive into the centre of the city, like anywhere, it's going to be massively congested because the streets just weren't built for that kind of road, that kind of traffic. But will this include like the ring road going around it as well, which is normally actually very easy to travel around?
No, the ring road is classed as a motorway.
All right.
And doesn't come under the ULEZ.
Okay.
So the ring road itself, but before the ring road,
I was going to say
after the ring road.
But the roads leading to get to the road. Okay, all right. That's a distinction without a difference there, isn't it?
Exactly. Now, we've been asked this question before about did we want a congestion charge in Greater Manchester? If you click the next link. And it was a decade ago, and we said no. The whole of Greater Manchester was asked, and 79% of people voted we didn't want congestion charge in Greater Manchester.
Nobody wants a congestion charge.
So what did the government do? What did our politicians do? Like they did what they always do. They went away, think, right, got the wrong result. We're not going to ask them again. We're going to rebrand it. So we're not going to call it a congestion charge. We're going to call it a clean air zone.
That sounds nice.
Because who's against clean air? We'll bring it back and we won't do a referendum. So that's how we've got this now. So it was also the government. So it was a Tory government again. Let's go back to Tory government. So let's not just blame a Labour mayor for this in Greater Manchester. This was a directive from the Tory government who said to Greater Manchester, you need to clean up your air, Greater Manchester. And Greater Manchester said, well, okay, show us the data. So they showed him the data. So Greater Manchester is made up of 10 councils: Manchester, Salford, Wigan, Rochdale. There's 10 of them. Out of the 10, the data said 8 of them at some parts have unclean air. 2 of them were perfectly fine. So if you live in Wigan or Rochdale, your councils joined this scheme voluntarily because they wanted to. They weren't asked to join. They didn't need to join. They said, we'll come in this. You can charge our businesses as well. So they joined. And the reason why we had this scheme imposed upon us was because of a charity called Client Earth. Client Earth took the government to court over an EU directive and said, this air's dirty. You're failing the EU directive.
When was this?
This 2017. After the referendum, but we'd not left the EU at that point. So directives were still had to be followed. But it's just funny how we've left the EU and we're still trying to implement EU directives that we have full control over now. Then the signs went up. The signs went up in beginning of the year 2022. All over Greater Manchester, ULEZ on the 1st of, I think it was 1st of May, charges will apply. And everybody went, clean air zone, what's that? What am I charging for? So people looked into it. And within 2 months, a Facebook group called Rethink the Clean Air Zone Greater Manchester got something like 60, 70,000 members in a couple of weeks, all angry about it. Andy Burnham, the mayor of Greater Manchester, lost his bottle. It's his plan. And he went, suspend this. I can see this ruining my career, this. And the whole thing, the way the project runs and looks is his idea. If we have the next, so that's what the signs look like in Manchester. And now every sign in Manchester has another sign on top of it saying currently suspended.
They really?
Yeah, every sign.
That's good.
Yeah, currently suspended.
Well, that's the thing that I've found quite pleasant when I have been going to Manchester recently is that I drive in and I realise that, I don't actually have to pay this.
Yeah.
Unlike some of the cities like Bath and Bristol and
Yep.
other places, I can avoid having to pay anything if I go to Manchester.
Yeah. So if you have the next one. So this was Andy Burnham, who spent years trying not to talk about it, who had to admit in a debate that charging was his idea. So he got directed by the government, who gave him choices. The very last choice was, if you do all these things and your air doesn't get clean, and you do these things, your air doesn't get clean, eventually you can charge people. So he just went, let's charge people.
I'll do that one then.
Because I want that money in my coffers, because I've got loads of pet projects that are going to make me look like King of the North. I'm going to look amazing with this extra 200-300 million a year. I want the money. So it was his idea. He's admitted it. His idea. So it got suspended. So where are we now? We're in limbo. We've been in limbo now for like 18 months. And he's been very quiet. Apart from today, I can't believe.
Oh, really? As you're about to come on and talk about this?
Because he's scared of me now, because I'm running against him next year for mayor. He's heard I was coming on in. He went, I need, phone the BBC, get the BBC here. I need to do an interview with the BBC. And he's done one this morning.
Really?
On this. So what's he said today? So today he said, I'm not going to implement any projects that will charge motorists. No congestion charges and no clean air zones. Like, well,
right.
What is he going to do if the government's given him a mandate?
I've only seen clips at the moment. So that's what he said today. So he's only got three choices, if you really think about it. He could either, don't forget, the project's been paid for. They reckon he's spent 100 million so far on cameras, contracts, signage. You can imagine setting up for the whole of how expensive that is.
Yeah, that's it. Greater Manchester, once again, is an enormous area that takes in a lot of the northwest zone.
Exactly. So the infrastructure's there. It's all been built. It's been there a year and a half doing nothing. So he either goes live with it, which he's now said he's not going live. So that one's gone. He can scrap it completely. That's what he's hinting at today. Or what I think is, well, again, what he said today means this one won't go on either. There was a chance he could make the scheme smaller and just say, I'm only going to concentrate on the city centre, which I'm against, but would make sense. I can sort of get that one.
To be honest, it sounds like the guy can't be trusted, because it seems like he's just going, like moving with the political wind whenever it's convenient.
It goes back to your point, your segment. It's all to do with career politicians.
Yes.
What do I want as a career politician? I forget, what do I want?
Re-elected.
That's it. It's my job.
Yeah.
So if my job was stacking shelves at Asda, all I care about is stacking shelves when I'm at work, because that's my job. He's a career politician. And to have the word career in front means I just want to get elected every 3-4 years. Yeah. So he'll do anything to stay in post or maybe to become an MP and Prime Minister.
The whole idea of the career politician is basically you're going to be the figurehead of a large PR campaign at all times. That's really what you're doing.
Yeah. So I've got to change this a little bit now, because he's just come on air and said it.
He's ruined you.
He has. Sod. Yeah. So if he's going to scrap it, which he says he's going to follow my plan, which this is how I would scrap it if I was elected mayor next year. The first thing we'd do is we'd look at the data. The data, the views for the CAZ, the Clean Air Zone, came from 2018. So data's 5 years old to begin with. So can we go back and look at that? Well, they did. They looked at it last year, 2022. Out of the 10 areas in Greater Manchester, 4 of them now have completely clean air. So that's 40% of the area that doesn't need a clean air zone, according to their own data. One of the areas, one of the testings, there's a dozen stations in each area to see how dirty it is. In one area, in one council area, one of the tests came back that only one of them was 1% over the limit. So really, that's fine. So there's half of the CAZ now gone. We don't need it. The others had certain pockets, mainly along the trunk roads going into main commercial areas like city centres. So we can challenge the data, and we can actually say, well, we're going to clean up the air on that trunk road, and we're going to get rid of the diesel buses, and we're going to use some of our electric buses. Problem gone. You don't need to charge people. That's how I would do it. And then then you could also look at the EU directive and take the government to court saying, why are we following the EU directive?
We left the EU anyway.
When we left. So that's what I think he's going to do now.
Just very quickly then, Nick, like you said, he's already spent about £100 million on setting this thing up. So is that just 100 million down the toilet then?
Down the toilet.
Oh yeah,
Jesus.
That's what these always do. It must also scare them when they see that, we've already implemented this huge infrastructure. We've spent all of this money. What's going on in boroughs of London where they've already implemented ULEZ? Well, you've got the Blade Runners who are basically doing a campaign of civil disobedience to try to vandalise all of these. Whatever your thoughts on that, the people in charge now are probably thinking, well, if we do it here, there will probably be similar cells of people pop up and do the same thing over here. So no matter what they do, it's basically £100 million down the toilet.
Exactly. And that's the next fight now for next year, is to hold him accountable for the waste of public money. 100 million down the drain. He didn't really ask the people about the clean air zone was snuck in.
Yeah.
They did a consultation.
Did they know it's an unpopular policy?
Yeah, they did a consultation during COVID and spoke to less than 5,000 people.
In all of Greater Manchester.
The whole of Greater Manchester. When you look at the people they spoke to, there were people from the Cycling Association, Green Earth. They were from the people you'd imagine they actively went to and spoke to.
They formed the council of the most insufferable people in the country, headed by Jeremy Vine, presumably. And then they asked their opinion on it.
Yeah. And then got the result they wanted. I used to work for the council. We never ever did a consultation that we didn't know the answer to. Because to do a consultation for a project that starts in a couple of months' time, it has to be yes. You had to have made that decision 2 years ago. And when he made that decision, he signed contracts. We don't know the get out clauses of these contracts, but they'll be stiff, because you're a CCTV company. And well, I'm not going to sign a contract with you on a monthly basis. I'm investing this. I want a 5-year contract off Greater Manchester. So there'll be get out clauses there, which are going to cost us even more than 100 million. Now, what he may say, well, he never talks about crime. He's like risk averse with crime. And what you don't know is the Mayor of Greater Manchester is also the Police Crime Commissioner of Greater Manchester. Yeah. He's got 2 roles there. So he never talks about crime. He could say, I'm turning over all the CCTV cameras to the police because they're all obviously equipped with ANPR. So he could say that could be crime reduction, anti-terrorism. Some people won't like that because why are we being spied on even more now with our cars?
Pretty dystopian.
I'm not sure where I sat on that because I do see the crime reduction advantages of that, but that's not what the cameras were paid for. So he needs to be held accountable for the 100 million it looks like he's going to waste. He will say, it wasn't my fault. It was government made me do it. No. The government told you to clean up the air. Everything after that was your choice, your project, your cameras, your charging. That was all you. We asked you to clean up the air in certain pockets. That's all we did as a government. So it'd be interesting to see what he does. But what I'm saying, running for mayor, is get scrapped day one.
Yeah.
So we'll not be implementing it. We'll be challenging the data. We'll be getting rid of it. And as you two gents know, this isn't the war. This is one battle.
Yes.
In the war. The eco-green lunatic war will still rage. And what I'm going to do for Greater Manchester to make sure we don't get in this position again, I'm going to appoint a motoring czar. Going to appoint somebody who'll attend all the meetings, all the mayor meetings, council meetings, look at all policies. All new policies will be submitted to them as well. And they're going to vet how hard this is going to hit motorists. Because I'm tired of motorists always being the Antichrist. Something goes wrong, motorists. We need some more money. Let's tap up the motorists again. The motorists need to get a fair deal. They need to pay their way, which they're doing more than that at the moment. But they need to pay their way. They need to be treated with some respect. And they need a better deal off government. Hence, a motoring czar.
It's not an infinite, unending spring either, because for younger people especially, it's getting more and more expensive to even get a car in the first place, to be able to save up and afford all of the insurance and then all of these added charges on top.
Not to mention the cost of petrol and diesel. As well.
I mean, this is all part of what I assume is the plan, which is to ensure that people, it's restrictive to be able to start owning a car and maintain owning a car, to try and reduce people's ability to move around as well as to hit clean air goals and such. But that just means that, okay, as time moves on, this tap that they keep going to will run dry.
Yeah. And part of this is to force you on public transport. The mayor of Greater Manchester just launched the B network. We've now taken back into public control all our buses in Greater Manchester. That ain't going to work out well, I'll tell you that for nothing. But he's ploughing millions, hundreds of millions into that on the assumption that his finances only work if bus passengers increase over the next 6 years by 30%. I can't see that happening.
No.
So they need that amount of people going onto this public transport just so that they can make up the money.
Yes, yeah. Hence why we need to penalise car drivers to get you on the yellow bus in Greater Manchester. All these plans sort of interlink. And we need to be speaking to the public. I want to say to the public, we're not going to have this if you don't want this. If you vote for this, well, you can have it. I disagree with it, but you can have it. But we don't vote on it anymore now. It's all through the back door because they're tired of asking us our opinion. Because why? We always give the wrong answer.
Yeah.
So this next mayoral election that you're standing in essentially is a referendum on all of these bad decisions that people like Andy have been making for years at this point.
Exactly. And I go one step further. I'm going to give the people of Greater Manchester a referendum on if they actually want the role of mayor.
Well, that was the thing. It was a new Labour position that was created, wasn't it?
No, it was George Osborne.
Oh, sure. Oh,
Tories again.
Yeah. What a surprise. Still Blairites. So
never asked. It was imposed upon us.
Yeah.
And people in Greater Manchester are quite negative towards it, as in we were never asked. And we've got this guy ruling us now. We're never asked. I'm going to give them a referendum. If you don't want the role, we'll scrap it. And we'll give Westminster a headache about how they scrap it, what happens to the powers. But if the people say you don't want it, well, scrap my job. I'm not in it to be mayor. I'm not in it to be a politician. I'm in it for change. So if you don't want a mayor, then let's get rid of the position.
It's very noble, Nick.
Yeah. Oh, it's the words of a man who actually cares about Manchester and Greater Manchester and wants it to be a wonderful place for people to live.
Yep. And back to your section. It's about incompetence and cowardice. I'm just tired of it. I am. I'm just tired. It doesn't take much to make change. It just takes some great determination and not being a coward and not putting your career first and your feelings first. I want to put the region first. I'll do the heavy lifting. And the people who come after me then will have an easier job and can do some good changes. But the heavy lifting needs to be done first. And I don't mind doing that. So that's me. So if you live in Greater Manchester, vote for me next year.
And where can people find you?
Find me all over social media, Nick Buckley, MBE. And my webpage is being developed at the moment. And if you've got some money to throw at me, go on Democracy 3.0 and you can make financial donations there.
And we've got the Twitter account here, YouTube channel.
Yeah, I'm on everything.
You're on TikTok. My goodness, now. Reaching out for the youth.
Well, yeah, I joined 3 weeks ago, and actually, it's doing really well. I don't go on it till what anyone else puts on it, but I put my stuff on it, and that one got 23,000. Yeah. Another one's got 50,000.
Piccadilly Gardens. I've spent a lot of time at Piccadilly Gardens over the years, and there's some worrying videos that I've seen coming out of it recently where there have been very, very young girls hanging around with people.
Drug dealers.
Yeah,
drug dealers.
Drug dealers, and obviously these girls are below age, and then the police are standing around just watching it happen, and then people who go up and confront and say, "What are you doing?" They're the ones that get taken over by the police. It's absolutely absurd.
What I try to get the police to do when I was based in police stations it's called prevention. Don't wait until those suspected criminals do something with these girls. Intervene now.
Yeah.
Speak to them. What are you doing? Why are you here? You girls need to get home. In fact, girls, I'm taking your names and address. I'm speaking to your parents.
Yeah, that's a much more responsible way of dealing.
That's how you police an area. You don't police an area and wait until someone commits a crime. It's too late then. Get in early. Get your presence known. That's how we police Piccadilly Gardens.
Yeah, it just makes sense. I've been reading Peter Hitchens' Abolition of Liberty, where he's speaking about the changes in the police force and seeing a few of his clips where he's very, very hard on the fact that the way the police operate these days is that, like you say, they wait for things to happen and then they respond. But it's not like you can be unrobbed. You can't have your house unburgled. I've known people where these things have all happened, but if there had been something preventative in place in the first place, then you wouldn't have to have worried about being in that situation anyway. You've got your Facebook page moving on, and also Instagram. So yes.
Yeah, I'm on everything.
please follow Nick so that you can give him support in his run for role of Mayor of Greater Manchester.
Yep. Thank you.
If you enjoyed that segment from the podcast of the Lotus Eaters, why not visit our website, where you can get our podcast live, in full, uncensored, and for free from 1 o'clock UK time every weekday. And while you're there, for as little as £5 a month, you can access all of our paywalled premium content, such as Josh's eclectic series Contemplations, where in this episode, he discusses the origins of the English language in a 2-part series. If you want to know the rest of what Josh is putting out, you can follow Josh on Twitter at @JoshFirm, and the rest of us over at @LotusEaters_com. Until next time, goodbye.